What is happening in the world? This is Daniel with Bothersome Truth.
Emmanuel Morrell.
Today's going to be a little bit more of a conversation. We were talking about kind of what the news can do to you, and I thought it'd be a good conversation to have on camera. So, like, for example, the EpiPen thing that's going on, I'm sure some of you have heard about them hiking up the prices, the connections between the pharmaceutical company and senators who are probing into them. I saw that in a headline today, and then connections to Hillary. Trump is trying and failing to get black voters. I hate talking about him. Ryan Lochte has been arrested or charged over in Brazil for lying and false police report.
He was charged,
but with all that being said, you said something that yesterday, because he's also moving, so we were moving last night. You said something interesting about how frustrated you are about politics, and I thought it'd be good to talk about that because I'm pretty sure you're not the only one. What is it that's frustrating you?
I feel like I'm having a mental meltdown sometimes when I just think about politics.
That's
I get
fair.
to a point to where I just don't even want to. Like, I don't want to go on Facebook because everybody's talking politics on Facebook. So now I have like cell phone aversion to where I don't even want to go near my cell phone because I get those damn alerts. People make some funny posts and whatever. But the reason why I feel disillusioned about the entire, political fight is mostly because I just realized, I didn't realize it, but you witness just how little of consequence evidence, reason, logic has to people. Mm-hmm. And they just continue down the same mundane path of making the incorrect decisions. And I know, of course, it's all subjective, right? Whether or not my decision is correct versus your decision is correct. But I mean, I feel like there's just some fundamental baseline ideas that are just simply true and others which are just simply not. Like, for instance, if you pride yourself on believing that the welfare of children and people are important, then you can't vote for warmongers. And there aren't any concessions that you can make for that. But I witness people making concessions for that as the election cycle goes on, and that's bothersome to me because it's like, what?
I see what you did there.
It's like why?
Bothersome Truth.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. Pun. My bad.
Yeah, but so why? But like, why? Like, and the response is, well, we have to elect somebody, and it might as well be Hillary, but she's going to give you the exact same thing. Well, she's going to win anyway, so why do you have to contribute to her win? Like, I don't understand why people are having this sort of cognitive dissonance. And then I remember, because they don't think for themselves. And I don't even mean that in an insulting way. I mean that as to say, like, people just generally just don't stop and think for themselves.
The herd mentality.
It's a herd mentality because they don't have time to actually sift through the information themselves or
don't make time.
Or they don't make time.
And I think this is a good point to make because, honestly, you probably felt the same way too. And when we talk about, for example, like the common thing of, it can't be Trump. Can't be Trump. And it's like, okay, well, it can't be Trump. But does that mean, therefore, it should be Hillary? Because I guess what I want to know is, if you're going to vote for Hillary, whatever your reasoning, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm not. Like, 99% sure I'm not going to. Because I can't live with that decision as much as I know. But let's say you do decide to vote for Hillary. Are you going to accept the consequences of your vote? And see, I don't think a lot of people are. I don't think a lot of people are going to accept the consequences of their vote. So if Hillary decides to either set up a no-fly zone in Syria, or Obama sets one up, and then she supports the decision, which leads us to having more troops to go to war, if you vote for her, are you willing to look back 10 years from your vote and say, I voted for Hillary, and I voted for another meaningless war? Like think about this. Think about this for a minute. If you voted for George W. Bush, have you taken responsibility for that vote? When's the last time you heard somebody who voted for Bush both times say, you know what? That war in Iraq, we spent all that money, upwards of $7 trillion. People are dead. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of civilians are dead. over in Iraq and Middle Eastern countries, man, I shouldn't have voted for him. I think that's part of the issue is like people don't take responsibility for their vote. And at one point I used to say I thought people should be like publicly held accountable. I'm not going to say that because there
Take
could
them
be
to the guillotine.
Yeah, well, you know, if you're in a family
if
that finds out you voted counter to the family, that could hurt you. So whatever. But what I'm getting to is I understand that frustration because I don't think we have a big picture view. Another example is like you have people saying, I can't wait till the election's over. You've heard that, right? I can't wait till this is all over. This doesn't end when the election ends. This begins when the election happens. That's when it really begins because that's when the activism has to start, the organizing, the mobilizing. Because if Hillary gets in, like I'm going to be even more fighting to get money out of politics. Because Hillary will be the proof that money in politics works again. It will be the proof that this method is viable by people in power. Because they're going to say, well, I put all this money into the system. I got my president. Like, they're doing it with Trump. They put all this money into Trump, and he's the Republican nominee. Yeah. He switched from being self-funded to taking donations. Yeah. So I think this is a really good point because I think, honestly, respectfully, some of you are these people. You're not thinking for yourself. You're taking what other people tell you. You're not questioning it. You're not expanding your options. You're not doing your research. You're not verifying your sources. And you're just buying into what everybody tells you. Yeah. And some of you aren't. And you're frustrated like us because you're dealing with this every single day. The Hillary or Trump as though it's a real choice. Yeah. That's not a real choice. Because you know the choice is you're being told to vote Hillary. Hillary or evil. But they're both evil.
You want me to punch you to death or you want me to kick you to death?
Or like the picture I sent.
You want me to punch you in the face?
I sent you that picture and it's a man holding a baby. And it says, do you want to microwave the baby or choke the baby? And he's like, oh my God, I don't want to do either.
No, he's like, you got to choose one.
No, you got to choose one. And it's like, well, like either way, I kind of don't want Middle Eastern people being killed anymore by terrible U.S. foreign policy.
Just stop.
It would be nice
and the thing is, the third party candidates, no matter where you stand on the spectrum, and I actually don't think that Jill Stein stands that far away from Gary Johnson, except for on TPP, granted. But you have two other options of people who don't want to engage in those conflicts overseas anymore. And for people to pretend with themselves that Hillary and Donald Trump are the only options is flummoxing. And worse off, they wouldn't have to tell you that they are going to win no matter what, unless there is a chance they couldn't win. Right? Because if your power is solidified, then there's really no reason to convince the masses to join in their ranks or whatever else, right? They wouldn't have to campaign if there was a guarantee that they were going to win. Like even the whole, Hillary Clinton is up by 20 points or 15 points or whatever, 10 points or whatever. Mm-hmm. But then the way they portray themselves in media is as if they're in mass panic. They're covering every single absurd thing that Trump says. They're throwing millions of dollars into advertising. Can you believe he said this? Why are they doing all of that if she's clearly going to win?
Because she's not.
Exactly, because she's not clearly going to win. And Donald Trump isn't clearly going to win either. Because believe it or not, there are people who don't want that idiot in office either. And no respect if you're a Donald Trump supporter. I just don't. But so you have other options. They're viable options. And most of all, even if they can't win, right? Why would you want your vote? Your vote defines what some of your philosophies are, right? They're the representation of your ideals, right? You're saying, I believe in this guy, so therefore I'm going to vote for him. I believe in these philosophies, therefore I'm going to vote for him, right? So if you know that these two candidates are going to send your kids to war, I mean, do you believe in that? Then why are you voting for them?
If they're going to continue to use 54% of our discretionary income toward defense, which they both will.
And I hate that word, defense. We're not in a defensive position anymore.
More like imperialism.